Hey, welcome back to Transform Your Life, Just Count Me In. I'm Sari Stone, your host, and I'm so happy to be with you today. I think September is one of my very favorite months in the world, and I hope you're enjoying September too. Have you ever thought of somebody and right at that moment they call? Or seen a symbol everywhere for days and suddenly something shifts? Today we're going to talk about synchronicities, those little nudges and those beautiful coincidences that often point us towards our flow. I don't know about you, but I'm all about living my happiest life and my best life because they're one and the same. I like feeling good, and synchronicities flat out make you feel good. So this episode is going to give you some information about synchronicities, the neuroscience behind it, some of the framing spiritually, some everyday examples of it, and some ways for you to tune into your synchronicities and figure out how to use them as teachers and indicators in your life along your journey. So I hope you enjoy it. Let's dive in. So first, I like to know what is going on in my brain, and you know me by now. So our brains are pattern-making machines. My brain constantly is predicting incoming information to save energy. It's called predictive coding. And when something matches a prediction or stands out, it gets flagged. So if I live somewhere and I think the people are so nice here, they're so friendly, I am just more and more likely, because I like confirmation bias, to notice more friendly people. There's attention systems like the reticular activating system, we called that the RAS, and that's that filter we talked about that turns your brain on to relevant information. So when you focus on something like red cars or signs about new opportunities, you literally notice them more. Then you've got the salience network, and that's emotions. That's meaningful coincidences. When we have a coincidence that helps us make meaning out of life, that catches our attention because it registers as salient. Salient is just another word for emotionally bright. And we know that the brightest, shiniest moments always get our attention and stay in our memory. They're remembered more. Confirmation bias and selective attention is also part of what is going on in your brain. I'm not saying that we create coincidences, but we do choose what to remember from them. And that does not make them meaningless, and it makes the act of noticing a practice. So your practical takeaway is that noticing rewires what you notice. The more we notice things to be grateful for, the more there are things to be grateful for. The more we notice kindness in the world, the more kind things we're going to notice. It's the way we're wired. We like to make ourselves right. The more you look for meaning, the more your brain is going to surface it. Your brain is like a radio tuning into the frequency you set it to. So synchronicities are invitations. I look at them like confirmations. Sometimes it's a mirror. It can sometimes just confirm a decision, like the universe is saying, yes, I actually wasn't sure whether to do this episode on synchronicities or to do another episode that's also really been calling to me. And when I went to pick up my phone to text my friend, she had already texted me at that same time. And I thought, oh, it's so good to hear from Erin. And I realized there was my deciding vote. A synchronicity just happened, and I felt so happy. So that was my confirming vote on this. And I think synchronicities also point to what needs attention. I mean, we've all had the experience of getting ready to correct someone else's behavior and then noticing our own behavior was similar, or acting in a certain way that maybe was out of integrity with ourselves and we didn't notice it until we saw someone else do it and then we caught ourselves. Those type of synchronicities are educational, and that's a mirror. Synchronicities definitely have a relationship to flow because they often appear when we are not feeling so resistant. We're aligned with something bigger than our old story. Spiritual practical note. They are not magic instructions. They are gentle signals. So I use them like data. I feel them. I reflect. I give gratitude for them, and I act if it feels aligned, and then I move on. Because the core of synchronicity is that synchronicities aren't random. They're actually really connected. It's that aha feeling. It's like a really good lit up feeling. Wayne Dyer often frames synchronicities as divine guidance, like source arranging itself. When you're aligned with source, you're not chasing. Things show up at the exact moment that they're meant to. He told stories about writing his books and suddenly meeting the perfect publisher or being in touch with the right person. He saw those as signs that he was in his flow. He advised people to hold on to their intentions and then just detach from the outcome and watch things unfold and then take the aligned action. So Abraham also said, when you're in alignment, cooperative components assemble. Synchronicity is evidence of your vibrational match. Once we found the land for this house, absolutely everything lined up. Everything lined up. We didn't know a builder from anywhere, but we ended up with exactly the right builder. And he chose exactly the right contractors. And we have exactly the right neighbors. I mean, just things are so perfect. We couldn't have written a better plan. But it didn't happen until we actually were feeling aligned. Sometimes it has to do with using the path of least resistance, and that you naturally bump into the right people and the right ideas in the right places. When we were moving here, we went to a sunset because our neighborhood goes to the boat landing to watch sunsets sometimes, and everybody just sort of hangs out down there. And we didn't live here yet, but we're trying to meet people, and plus it's the most gorgeous sunset. So we were there, we met some friends, and we really liked them a lot. So of course, when we were getting ready to move 2 years later, we stayed in touch with them because we had exchanged phone numbers. And they asked how we were doing, and we were honest. My husband, the job that my husband thought he was going to have when we moved here, the source of income was no more. And it was not planned. And we were kind of in a pickle where he needed to get a job pretty soon. And it had just turned out, talk about synchronicity, that this friend's husband knew someone, a neighbor, who worked for a company, a perfect company for my husband to transition into, who needed somebody with his qualifications and his experience because the person in his position had just given notice because his wife was moving into hospice. So sad for a sad reason, but the job had not even posted. And even if it had, Stan is a total newcomer here. He would have been a total outsider had we not had that connection that got him the interview through the neighbor's friend. So, I mean, talk about synchronicity. It could not have been better. And yes, he did get the job, and it's been great for the company as well as for us. Paul McCartney gave the example when he wrote the song, because I looked it up. I tried to look up some famous people. And Paul McCartney, when he wrote Yesterday, he said that the melody came to him when he was sleeping. And he was so sure that he copied it because it actually felt that familiar to him. And it took him a while to acknowledge that it actually was an original, like a classic case of inspiration. J.K. Rowling on a train, she has said that Harry Potter arrived fully formed, as she said, in her mind on a delayed train from Manchester to London. Without that delay, she wouldn't have had the time. She didn't even have a pen. She was not planning on this at all. She watched the characters walk around in her head. And she was on, I think, public assistance. I'm not sure. You'd have to double check that at the time. She really needed this to happen. So we all have our own everyday examples. Thinking of an old friend and they text you minutes later. Seeing a repeating number and it turns out to mean something. Looking for a new job and randomly sitting next to somebody at a Starbucks who ends up hiring you. Maybe you are having a question about something, and this does happen to me a lot, and I'll walk over to my books and I'll think, oh, I'm going to try this book. I know it's in here somewhere. I don't have time to scan the whole book. And I turn right to the page of the book where the answer is. My cousin, prime example, his computer had a virus on 9/11/2001, and he did not make it to the office. Thank God, because if he had, he wouldn't have made it out of the office on that day. And so many people had stories, trains delayed, children got sick and they had to work from home. I mean, it was just such an awful time, but it also brought up a lot of stories about people and why they were not at their jobs that day. And that was synchronicity. When we talk about synchronicity, I'm not just talking about cute little coincidences. I'm talking like, my name is Sari and I run into somebody else named Sari. That would be more than a coincidence because I have an unusual name. But I'm talking about those moments when the inner and outer worlds line up so perfectly that it almost feels scripted. Like you're online at the food store. I was online wondering which seeds I needed to be planting this season, and I planned on Googling it because my garden didn't do well last season. And literally the person in front of me was really knowledgeable and having a full discussion with the cashier about what they were planting in their garden. So I got to ask them, because they've lived here their whole lives, well, what worked and how was your garden? I mean, what were the odds that I'd be in there at that moment and that I would be standing in line behind that person at that moment? Now, granted, I'm open to synchronicities in my life, and I think that things show up a lot at the exact moment they're meant to for me. There's definitely cooperation as far as the universe goes. And so you're probably wondering, like, so how can I tune into this a little bit more? Because this is fun and I want to play with it for a while. So I'm going to give you a short 2-minute guided practice that you can read right after your synchronicity segment. It's in a printable guide with journal prompts, affirmations, and then a weekly practice for synchronicity if you would like. So that's a little freebie that I'm giving you. So let's talk about noticing your own synchronicities. If you have a chance, do this now. If not, come back to it. So I want you to find a comfortable seat and close your eyes or soften your gaze. Your eyes don't have to be closed. And take 3 slow inhales and exhales. You can put your hands on your chest, or one hand on your chest and one hand on your belly. And on your exhales, just picture any stress or tension or any part of your day just kind of wiggling its way out of you. And don't force the breath, just notice. Notice the rise and fall. Bring to mind one recent synchronicity. It can be big or it can be small. Notice how it felt in your body. Really, really gently feel it. And set an intention. Show me what I need to notice today. Imagine a soft golden light at the center of your forehead. It's a kind, watchful light. This light doesn't search or strain. It just opens and shines. Picture this light widening, a gentle halo of noticing, and that softens your inner critic and sharpens your curiosity. Breathe into that space. Now imagine your day as a path. On that path, there are small lights, little beams of lights, like little fairies or lanterns. And some are bright and some are dim, and they represent little synchronicities in your life, little coincidences. Notice how they feel. Walk around. Notice how they look. How does it feel physically just to be in the presence of these synchronicities? Just let them glow. Do you feel ease? Do you feel guided? Now take a moment and then think about how you feel. If this synchronicity and these little lights were telling me something, what would it be nudging me towards? I'm open to noticing. I am grateful for guidance. I'm open to noticing. I am grateful for guidance. And as you take a moment to wiggle your fingers and toes, your ankles and wrist, just notice. That's all this mindfulness practice was about, is just noticing and acknowledging that they're there. And as you open your eyes, imagine stepping into the rest of your day with this gentle, calm awareness. Your mind is primed to recognize these little breadcrumbs, these little winks from the universe that say, hey, I got you. You're on the right path. And I promise you, the way your brain works, the more you appreciate them, the more they're going to appear. Take a few minutes after this episode to jot down your reflections. These prompts are going to help you start noticing the little breadcrumbs that the universe is leaving for you. And over time, you're going to begin to see patterns and guidance that you might have otherwise missed. What small action could I take in the next 24 to 48 hours if I trusted this guidance? Am I noticing any recurring symbols or numbers or themes appearing? What might they mean? Write down at least one thing that you feel gratitude for or connected to relating to these synchronicities. And reflect, how has noticing synchronicities changed your perspective and choices for the week? What might be different? Wouldn't it be fun? Wouldn't it be interesting if I'd started noticing the synchronicities all around me? Wouldn't it be fun? A couple of affirmations that I've used for this are, I'm open to guidance. I notice the signs. My attention is a magnet for meaningful guidance. Gratitude amplifies clarity. So for my daily practice, I do carry a little tiny notebook in my car, and you can also use your phone to jot down coincidences as they happen. As I mentioned before, there's a freebie journaling, mindfulness, and a tracker that you can download with this episode. It's a weekly pattern it's like a synchronicity log. So track and reflect and align. Synchronicity is a coincidence that feels like more than just a chance. It's the kind of thing that makes life a little bit fun, a little bit of magic. And the more we notice them, the more we're going to notice them because we become attuned to them. It's kind of like we have a sensitivity to them after a while. I would really appreciate it if you messaged me, let me know some of the synchronicities that you've noticed in your life recently and what they've pointed out to you. And I hope that you enjoyed this episode. I hope it shifted something in you. I'm just feeling kind of playful this month, and this is also a great time for new opportunities. It's a brand new season, and I would like to hear from you. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Please remember to support the podcast by commenting and subscribing. That really helps the podcast grow. Until then, enjoy and notice. Synchronicity is God's way of remaining anonymous. Have a great week.